In today's video, a few easy things you can do to go from about 20% body fat to 15% body fat, and we're gonna make those steps really easy. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Arvela from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, we're gonna break down a question I got on my Instagram direct message around getting from 20% body fat. We're gonna talk about what 20% body fat looks like down to about 15% body fat. We're gonna talk about what that looks like. And today's video comes from right here on my Instagram direct message. So guys, I'm gonna be in this little office for a little bit longer. I don't love it, but it does have a lot better audio. So I'm gonna sit here and do questions every single day. So I need questions from you. Go to my Instagram, send me your questions so I can cover them and we can answer, so you can make your goals. Now, what am I? I'm a coach. I'm a coach who's been doing this for over a decade. I've also been obsessed with the idea of putting on muscle, losing body fat, improving body composition for a lot longer than that, right? So here's some pictures of myself so you can understand just what it is that I do. Now, if you like this type of information from someone who's got experience, got education, and is just trying to help you guys, hit subscribe. It's really what I love to do here. I see a lot of videos of how to get to 10% body fat. Do you have a video for people going from 20% down to 15% body fat? And the reason I think the 10% body fat videos are so common is because that's something that very few people are able to obtain. It takes a level of focus and dedication that not a lot of people are willing to commit to it. So I think a lot of people like to watch these videos and learn how I do it, how my clients do it. So I love doing those videos and I have many of them. But just getting to 15% body fat is quite simple. And I'm gonna give you just a few things you can do to reach that goal that are actually, once you start doing them, you realize you don't really have to even be super particular with tracking your calories. You don't have to be super diligent about being perfect. You can have some alcohol, but I'm gonna talk about a few swaps. Swaps are things that we do, and I noticed I do them in prep when I start paying attention to calories and macros. So what happens when you track your macros? What happens is you plug all your information into an app and you start to look at it and you go, wow, I didn't realize I was eating 120 grams of fat a day. Well, 120 grams of fat, the reason that can be a problem is because fat is actually 9 calories per gram versus carbs and protein, which are only 4 calories per gram. So when you overeat fat, it can really accumulate. Also, when you eat fat, it can be stored directly as adipose tissue, whereas carbohydrates and proteins have to go through a process to be stored as fat. So overeating fat, in my mind, is the worst issue we have when it comes to putting on body fat and keep eating on. So I'm gonna talk about some swaps that allow you to basically, without interfering with your daily routine or your life, you can reduce calories pretty simply. The first one being, if you look at the board back here, you probably guessed it, is mayonnaise. And one of the things I notice myself that I do when I start dieting is I swap out mayonnaise for something else. Now you can swap it out for something like mustard, depending on the recipe or what you're eating, but you can just completely remove it in some cases, depending on, like, let's say you're making a sandwich. Sometimes you can just take the mayo off. And you're talking about 10, 15, 20, 30 grams of mayonnaise. When you go out to eat even, just say no mayo. Sometimes you can get light mayo, which is much less fat. Light mayo still gives you the substance that you need without giving you all the calories you need. So first things first, just take mayo out of your life. If you can swap it for another condiment, that's great, or if you can use a low-fat version. The next thing that I tend to do is I love eggs. And what I'll notice a lot of people do is they eat whole eggs. Most people think of eggs as protein, but if you actually look at the macronutrient profile of eggs, there's more calories from fat. So what I'll do is, instead of having 5, 6, 7 whole eggs, I'll have 2 whole eggs and fill the rest of my needs in with egg whites. Now they sell egg whites in containers now, so you don't have to crack the egg and get the egg white out. So I typically have a carton of eggs in my refrigerator, and I also have a carton of egg whites. And so I'll put a couple whole eggs, a couple egg whites, mix that up. Now, if you're losing, 5, 6 grams of fat per egg times 3 or 4, you're talking about 30, 40 grams of fat, depending on how many eggs you're eating. You're talking of hundreds of calories. How many calories do we need to lose weight? Not that many, guys. It can be between 200 and 500 calories per day to start some weight loss. So by just making a couple simple switches, easy peasy. I love snacking. And I think probably, the thing I talk about when it comes to why our society has become obese, it's because of snacking. Snacks are available everywhere. Go anywhere. Go to an auto parts store. At the checkout, there is candy and there is soda. Anywhere you go, there are snacks available. And we are, by nature, when we see something, no, that sounds good, I'll have that. It adds up quickly. So what I like to do is do another swap, is to swap out my potato chips. Now, I love potato chips, but they have a lot of fat. So much fat. And when people say to me, oh, Paul, but sugar is the reason that we're fat. No, I think it's fat. Because if you eat these foods that are labeled as carbohydrate foods like potato chips and donuts, they actually have more calories from fat. So what I like to do is use the baked option. Baked Lays actually have quite a bit fewer calories and a few less grams of fat. And here's another tip from old Coach Paul. Don't just open a bag and start eating. Take them out and put them in a container, or buy those 100 calorie bags and just take those with you to eat. That way you're kind of limiting what you can eat, because if you can continue to eat out of the bag, you don't even have to track. That's my point, guys. I want to make this simple for you. You can just do a few key little things that are going to save you a few hundred calories per day, and voila, you're losing weight. I also love to drink soda. But obviously, if you're drinking too much soda and it's not of the diet variety, you're going to be getting a ton of extra calories. Now, I know when you start drinking diet soda initially, the taste is funny, but trust me, I've been drinking diet soda for so long now that actually regular soda tastes funny to me. I can taste it if it's in my glass. I love Diet Mountain Dew, and I'm sponsored by America Energy, so if you're looking for a good energy drink with 0 calories, you can look at America Energy. But the idea here is that we're swapping things out that have less calories. And the great news is, if you're having something with some caffeine, you're having something with some sweet taste, and you're having something with some carbonation, it can actually help you avoid hunger. You can actually use that to abate hunger for a little bit longer, so it can help you stick to your diet longer without having to be super particular and exact. Now, I think to get below that 10% mark, you gotta be a little bit more precise, but getting to 15% body fat, which we'll break down here shortly, it's not that big of a change. The final one is when it comes to meal prep. Now, if you're not prepping your meals, then you might not know this. But if you are prepping your meals, you know that oil has a lot of fat. Fat has a lot of calories. So I switched years ago when I started bodybuilding to 0 calorie cooking sprays. You just spray a little bit in the pan, get rid of the olive oil, get rid of the butter, whatever you're using to coat your cooking materials, and that saves you a lot of calories, and you don't even really have to account for it because it's such low calorie. So again, you're just talking about swaps here that aren't going to interfere with that. Now, what does 20% body fat look like? 20 to 25% body fat to me means you've got very little separation in your physique. You're just kind of round. There's so much body fat underneath your skin that you're not able to see separations, striations. You won't see like these lines in the body. And so what does that do? It gives your appearance a little softer look, right? Somebody might say you're unathletic. You might probably also have love handles, a little bit of saggy back, lower abdominal, you know, depending on, you might be getting some cellulite in the glutes and hamstrings, in the hips. So 20% body fat, most people would be like, do you even lift? Unless you are extremely, extremely muscular. Now, 15% body fat, when you get there, to me, this is the very easily obtainable look for an athletic male who's active and eats and lives in a manner that just allows them to maintain. 15% just requires a little bit of work. How much work? So we've talked about doing some of these swaps. What I would suggest is that you're doing at least 30 minutes of daily cardio, okay? 5 days a week, get out and do some cardio. You guys, if you haven't watched my video on how to get shredded by walking, how to get to 10% by walking, you know, I'll put it in the end of this video. But the idea is that by moving more, we'll actually be less hungry. We will also be more likely to keep a better body composition. Now, if you want to have some shape to your body, if you want to have some muscles, resistance training is typically what I'm going to suggest. But anything that you enjoy doing, whether it be a sport or an activity, is going to produce hypertrophy or the increase of muscle size. So what is your goal? If your goal is just to be happy and healthy, make a couple of these swaps, do some cardio every day, and get involved in a sport that you truly enjoy so you're not thinking of it as exercise. You're just going and doing it. All right, guys. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday. Remember, go to my Instagram, send me questions. Let's do a video every day this week.